Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I just had to make the video, a review, for a movie I watched this past weekend with my mom, and God rest her soul, she sat through the thing like 3 times now. Once by herself, once with her dad, my grandfather, and then once with me, even though she didn't have to do that. The Black Phone. It claims on IMDb this is a 2021 film. I don't know if that's a weird COVID delay thing, but I was pretty confident, according to the release date in the comments section of, or not comments section, but the later details on IMDb, that it came out this year, 2022. Anyway, I'm going to put 2021 in the title, since I typically do that for movie reviews, because I want to be as close to whatever this thing says. Anyway, The Black Phone is based on a Joe Hill short story. Joe Hill, of course, being the son of Stephen King, the son of one of the best horror writers of all time. And to me, so far, it seems like Joe Hill has a total career going. Like, everybody's buying all of his stuff. Nosferatu, which I've not seen or read, don't know really anything about it. I've heard that it's really great, both the book and the movie. I've heard that Horns has been really great, book and movie, with Daniel Radcliffe as well involved in that. I've heard a lot of great things. I can't wait to see Horns or read it at some point. Let's see. There's this, which is a short story. It's about 30 pages long, from a book called 20th Century Ghost Stories, which I've owned forever. I just haven't read it. I think I read the first couple of stories in that, and I liked it a lot. Joe Hill's writing is fantastic, especially in Heart-Shaped Box. I'm surprised it's not a movie yet. Anyway, I consider myself a solid Joe Hill fan. I really like his work. And the thing for me is that I was curious what was going to happen with this, because when I was on my, not my anniversary, when I was on my vacation a few weeks back, about 4 or 5 weeks ago, I went to Tennessee, and while I was there, I bought a copy of this. I didn't know The Black Phone was not a book. I didn't know it was in 20th Century Ghosts, so now I have 2 copies of 20th Century Ghosts. I'm pissed off about that. I paid full price for that other book. Anyway, so basically the story's like 30 pages long, and it has the general concept of what this movie is about and what it is, you know? But it doesn't have the fine details that make this movie so special. To me, The Black Phone is a fantastic flick, and it's such a standout from the typical kind of movie you get with this kind of thriller, kidnapping subgenre of horror. Now, if kidnapping scares you, if you're a parent, and I'm not a parent, but I don't understand this part, but if you're a parent, that fear of somebody taking your kid is just filled in this movie. It is so dreadful. The look of it. Scott Derrickson directed this, by the way, the guy who did the first Doctor Strange movie. He did Sinister, which is also like this, that very dread-filled movie. He did The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I've never seen. I've heard great things about it, though. Essentially, Scott Derrickson's directing style here, again, is very much like with Sinister. If you loved Sinister, and you love that feeling of just overwhelming dread, like something horrible is happening here, there's something lingering around the corner watching you. If you like that kind of thing, The Black Phone is going to be up your alley. Again, if you like kidnapping movies, this is going to be up your alley. Basically, if you don't know anything about this movie, you have our main character who has a sister. His mom passed away. His sister apparently has dreams that come to fruition very often. His dad is kind of an alcoholic a little bit. He's not straight up entirely abusive, but he's kind of like on that borderline, like the dad of Jake in the Chucky TV show in season 1. And it's kind of horrible to watch their home life, because it's just sad. I really love this main kid. I don't know him. I don't think I've seen him in everything or anything. When I've looked on IMDb the last couple of days, I don't think I knew him from anything, as a matter of fact. He's fantastic, this kid that's our lead character here. He is freaking genius. Now, in his town, of course, he plays baseball and he goes to school and everything else, so does his sister. There are kids that are getting taken by someone called the Grabber, typically nicknamed that. Nobody knows who he is, but one of the things the police find out that they have not released to the press is that when people are going missing, there are black balloons being left behind, and it's kind of a calling card by this Grabber character. Now, I was immensely creeped out by the premise of this, right? Now, one of the things that interests the cops a whole lot is that they find out this sister knew about the details about the black balloons, and they're trying to figure out, why does the sister know this when our main kid gets kidnapped about 30 minutes into the movie? This, even though it's a movie, you know, movies have camera angles and stuff, this is not a found footage movie, and typically to me, found footage movies feel very, very real a lot of the time, depending on what we're talking about, what the premise of it is. This being a straight up regular old movie, there's something extremely unnerving about it, just extremely chilling about it in that first 30 or 40 minutes of this movie involving the kidnapping stuff. Again, it's very dreadful. It creeps me out. Right now I'm getting a chill up my back just talking about it because of how real it feels. And the emotions, the characters, everything about it just feels so real. Now, I want to get into the characters themselves. Of course, I talked about our main protagonist. I want to talk about the antagonist now, the man born for this role of the grabber. Ethan Hawke plays the grabber here, and he is freaking terrifying. The little subtleties of his performance are what make this scarier, because you don't really know if he's just kidnapping kids to do whatever horrible things these creeps on the streets do nowadays. And that's probably the case, in my opinion. You can kind of debate on this. Or is he just kidnapping them to kill them, or to torture them, or anything like that? It's horrifying. It's generally and genuinely horrifying to me. The way Ethan Hawke plays this role, you will never forget it. You will never forget the way he played this role. It was brilliant. It's brilliant. Between Scott Derrickson's directing style and the script, and then Ethan Hawke, you will never forget this performance as long as you live. It's like the one guy, I think it was Javier Bardem or somebody, I can't remember the guy who played in Lovely Bones. Lovely Bones is kind of a meandering movie. I don't really love it the way a lot of people do. It seems like a lot of people kind of came around to my side nowadays with that movie, but still, at the time when it came out, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I kind of explained that I wasn't obsessed with it, but I liked the killer in that movie. I thought the actor for that was fantastic. I think it was Javier Bardem, like I said, but anyway, that character there with the glasses and whatever, he was terrifying. He was genius, and it made that movie way better than it actually was. Ethan Hawke takes an already great movie, and an already great script, and an already great director, and makes it even better because of his performance. He is amazing in here. One of my favorite characteristics about him was the mask. Now, he wears like kind of a face mask thing to hide his identity from the kids that he kidnaps, and he has like the basic main part of this, you know, that goes over his eyes and his nose. But then he has this other portion that's the mouth and nose downward. And he has like a frown, and he also has a big grin. And depending on what mood he's having, even when he's not in the same room with the kids, he could be way upstairs waiting for them to try to sneak out or something, and he'll just switch them out and have like the frown face on. Psychologically, there was something so scary about that. I don't know what it was that affected me so deeply. But I don't know. It's such a well-made movie, and I appreciate that. Even the little girl who was picked to play the daughter, or the sister in the movie, she's great. The guy playing the dad is great. I think I've seen him in some stuff too. Pretty much everybody, including the cop characters, were all well cast. They all put a great performance in. But man, Ethan Hawke and this main kid who plays the protagonist of the film, they steal the show. They're both fantastic, but Ethan Hawke, man, Jesus. These actors brought out so much. There were even some scenes with the writing, like especially with the sister, that made me laugh out loud. I didn't expect to laugh at some kid spewing some really vile stuff. And not like in a Rob Zombie type of way, just kind of a WTF type of situation when the cops are asking her about, like, how does she know all these details about the balloons and whatever. It's fascinating. I really like it. But it's also kind of the same problem that I have, and it's kind of why my rating is going to be a little weird for this movie. I haven't entirely decided, as I've thought about it over the last couple of days, of how to rate this movie. I'll get to that in a moment. It's going to be a little weird for me because I'm not entirely sure how much I like the supernatural aspects. People constantly complain, like myself, being a massive Stephen King fan. Something like Bag of Bones by Stephen King would be way better without the supernatural stuff in it. As much as I like that in there, it works really well as kind of a ghost story type of thing. It would have worked better as just a straight up, legality story about, basically a child and where they should stay and whatever. This movie, to me, the supernatural aspect, it's not overwhelming, it's not overbearing, but it's a little much to add into this kind of story. However, I will say this, on the plus side of that, we have had a billion movies that have had straight-up kidnapping plots and people trying to find the kids that have been kidnapped without having supernatural aspects. How many movies have we had with both of that? And in this film, I think it's well blended very well, as a matter of fact, to the point that it becomes something brand new we've never seen before. I really appreciate it for that, and it's kind of a good thing. As much as I just brought up that might make you think I hate the movie because of that. I don't know why, but again, everything is really, really well done. Cinematography is beautiful. It looks like a 1970s film because it takes place in the 70s, but it feels like a 1970s movie. The haircuts, the clothing, everything, especially Ethan Hawke's character. all of that is just amazing. It really kind of blew my mind looking at it. And again, the directing, the shots that are conducted for this, the framing of them, everything, they're just wonderful. It's so well made. I'm just going to keep saying that constantly. There's not really any CGI in the movie. There is a little bit here and there. It's mainly practical effect type stuff. One of the biggest reasons why this is called the Black Phone, which I forgot to mention, is that in the room that our young main character, has been kidnapped and put in, down in the cellar of a house, there is a black phone, an old phone, like a 20s or 30s phone, on the wall. And it starts to ring even though there's cords that are not plugged in anywhere. And he doesn't know how that's possible. And the voices he's hearing coming out of this are very eerie. Very, very eerie. And there's some stuff involving that phone that's a little goofy for me. It's just a little bit goofy. Not really goofy, but just enough that it's like the kind of shot setting and that kind of thing for those moments. And if you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. If you have not seen the film, you're probably going to be like, what is he talking about? When you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's a little weird for me sometimes. I like the voices on the phone. It's just the other stuff that happens. I'm a little bit like, did that really need to be in here? It's kind of goofy. But that's really the only CGI in the movie. The music is almost non-existent, but when it's there, it's effective, you know? I liked it. Anyway, when it comes to the Black Phone, it is such a well-made, as I said a billion times over, movie. And it has so many great characters, some of the best horror moments and iconic moments we've seen in many, many, many years. This has been a great year for horror when we've had new things come out. Scream came out, the Scream 5, if you want to call it that, this year. We had this. We have Hellraiser coming out. We have Halloween Ends. We have so many things that came out this year that have just blown our minds. You know, there's been some great stuff this year. But when it comes to the Black Phone, it is a shockingly creepy movie, and it lingered with me. It's been like 5 days since I watched this, and it stuck with me tremendously. Do you know how rare that is for that to happen when I've seen as many movies as I've seen in my life, horror or otherwise? Do you know how often it is that I don't have that happen to me? It's lingered with me, it's very effective, and I recommend it if you're a big fan of horror films. More like on a thriller side, but you have to be able to understand there's a little bit of supernatural stuff, like I said. Anyway, when it comes to the Black Phone, if I had to rate this film on a 5-star basis, I'm leaning towards a 4 out of 5. It's not that there's really any massive flaws in here. I just don't know if I think it deserves a 5 out of 5 for me. It's typically based on quality. It's pretty much based on enjoyment for me. This will definitely be a very rewatchable movie, but I think it deserves a 4 out of 5. That's just my opinion on it. It's a very, very good flick. I really recommend this if you haven't seen it yet. It's scary. You need to prepare yourself, man, because you're not ready for what you're going to see in this movie. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? Put them down below in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this amazing little movie. It was so shocking. It feels like it doesn't even have a big budget behind it. It just, I don't know, it feels so small scale in a great way. I mean that in a massive compliment. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Once again, put them down below. Thank you for watching, guys. Was this your favorite horror movie that came out this year in 2022? I would not be surprised if a lot of people are saying that, because it could easily deserve that. It could easily deserve that. It's one of the most iconic recent movies in horror history. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. God bless you all, and goodbye.